All right, guys, welcome back to the show. We were due to do a podcast after Tour of Switzerland, but with the deeply saddening events of what happened there with Gino Matters passing, we decided not to do a show that week. So we're back this week. We don't go too deep into the show, but obviously we're the whole peloton in the world was affected by what happened there at Tour of Switzerland with Gino, and one hell of a bike rider, one great guy. So he'll be sorely missed and always remembered in the hearts of every single bike rider and in the peloton for forever. So rest in peace to Gino, and enjoy the show.
Let's just run the intro and wing it like we always do and see what comes out of it.
Let's get ready to rumble! Front kick.
Just getting bored and dance move chat.
My radar's going pretty hard at the moment. I think we should.
Will you shut up, man?
That escalated quickly.
We're going to need to get some more qualified guests on the show, eh?
We're only about 2 weeks into, we're not even into the peak of summer in Europe yet, and I'm already suffering. I've been walking around all morning, me and Hannah, trying to buy, I've been buying suits and shirts and ties. And there's this, and it's fucking hot here. It's 35 degrees. But Spain brought this new rule in, climate change, energy rule. And you're not allowed to air condition your shops lower than 26 or 27 degrees or something now. What? And the same in the winter, you're not allowed to heat them above 22 or something. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it's 26 or 27 degrees. So I was out.
That's still hot.
35 degrees outside, and you think at least you get some solace when you walk into the fucking fridge box of the clothes shops when they just used to run them at 16 degrees. So trying suits on, shirts on, ties on, and it was 27 degrees, and I was just I'm going to have to buy these shirts because they're just going to, I've marked my territory in the armpit of this shirt. I have to buy it.
Yeah. And you think
I'm going to go and
Spain,
blow some whistles. I'm going to go and hold the little fruit shop below me for ransom because I'm pretty sure they're chucking around at 19 degrees down there.
Well, they have to, otherwise the tomatoes go off and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know, but
fruit and veg is you walk a tight rope with fruit and veg in the summer in Spain.
Yeah, I know, but sounds like a fruit shop problem, I
want to throw mass generalizations out there, but from my experience of living in Spain, they're not big on deodorant. So I think clothes shops are really going to suffer with that rule because, as you said, Bill's the Pong. If you're trying on different shirts,
I think New Zealanders smell worse than Spanish in terms of body odors. I think New Zealanders would have a far higher odor rating than a Spaniard.
No, but we all grew up with those Lynx packs you get at Christmas. We've had years of experience, under the pits, from when you're 13, 14. So it's a bit of pop puree. Whereas I think the Spaniards, they came late to the party because there's a lot of just natural
raw dogging it in 35 degrees.
But I was trying to be considerate. So I tried one shirt on. Well, I tried two shirts on, the same shirt, two different sizes. And then I found the size that fit best. And then I had to buy another 5 or 6 shirts. So I just bought them out the packets. I didn't try them on. Is it? But I'm not taking a risk, am I? I bought the same size.
No,
but different models.
Depends what colour. Are you getting into politics?
Yeah, you're going to Wedding Crashers summer season or something.
Yeah, it is wedding crashing season.
Why are you buying all the suits and shirts?
For this NBC gig. And I'm going to America tomorrow, actually. I don't know how I found time to squeeze this potty in. I've got a lot to do. There's no one else to blame but myself for leaving it to the last minute. But I fly to the States tomorrow for this NBC gig for the Tour de France broadcasters over there doing in-studio analysis for the month of July in Stamford, Connecticut.
So finally, I don't know, I feel like we're starting to take off because Bewls is doing this NBC gig. I've got a series or 1 hour special going on primetime Aussie TV tomorrow and the UK. And then poor old mate.
I'll tell you what, I'm going backwards.
He crashed in bloody
Swiss. Left out of the tour team and, licking my wounds at home. So, taking off the boys.
So you could argue you need this podcast more than anyone at the moment. Me and Jonesy have got what we needed out of it. I was thinking about maybe this was our last show. I thought,
Yeah.
It's been the springboard that we needed.
Yeah.
But maybe we've got to stay
For
in
years,
for a
I felt
bit
like
longer.
we were in George Bennett's shadow, and now we're finally able to sort of branch out.
What could we springboard George into, like in the media world, from this podcast?
Oh no, I don't need to be in the media ward. I need to go the other way.
You do.
You'd be the man on like Big Brother or like Survivor or something. Like
Yeah.
Survivor, you'd be good on.
If I had to go a reality TV show, Treasure Island. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I was going to
Treasure
say
Island
you couldn't go on The Biggest Loser.
What about
How cool would that be?
Yeah, it'd be like who was that actor who played
Jared
Batman?
from Subway.
No, no. What was his name? Who played Batman in the middle with the Chris Nolan ones? What's his name?
Oh,
Bale. Christian Bale. Remember
Gareth
he played that role and he just went too method actor. He's just like full stick.
Well, I was looking at this. I came across this thing the other day. It was like actors that have changed their body mostly for their roles. And the crazy one was Matt McConaughey for like the Dallas Buyers Club.
Yeah.
When he became a AIDS heroin addict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he shot Wolf of Wall Street, like I think just after he'd shot that film. So he was still.
How do you reckon they do it though? Like, how do you get that lean without like riding your bike 30 hours a week? What do you do? Just not eat. Just literally
They don't eat.
They
There's
probably
some water.
But still, you can only say you don't eat a single thing. Like you don't touch a calorie. You can only have a 1,500 calorie deficit a day. And if you want to lose like 20 kilos, you need to have like a 3,000 calorie deficit a day. So you need to be doing something and not eating.
Well,
why can you only have a 1,500 calorie deficit a day? Why can't you have?
Because if you don't exercise and you
if you don't exercise,
yeah.
But if you exercise on top of it,
or if you took heaps of meth,
yeah,
like if you actually leaned into the method and became a heroin addict, and
he was an actual heroin addict.
yeah, so
yeah.
But then it goes the other ways when actors have to put on a shitload of weight for a role. I reckon that'd just be as shit. Because Eric Banner, when he had to put on weight for Chopper, he said he just literally made sure that he did not leave the house and just on a diet of pizza and milkshakes. And just like, that can't be good.
No. Fuck. Who's is a yellow jersey behind you for those that are watching this? Jonesy sits in front of a yellow jersey from the Tour de France. What year is that from?
2011. 2011. That's Cadell Evans. It says, Dan, where's my Xbox?
Does it?
Yeah.
Well, tell us the story behind that.
Well, I've won the Xbox. Hang on. I'm going to tip over me light here. You can see.
Let's just run the intro and wing it like we all.
You can see a photo there where we're doing a That's Gold thing. And basically, the NRL footy show, if you did this and sent a photo in, you could win an Xbox. And I got Cadell to do it the year he ran second, and I won the Xbox.
Huh.
And then
so he wants it.
He wanted it. And I'm like, mate, you're on $1 million a year. Fuck off. Like, where's your perspective?
So what I was getting at with the yellow jersey behind you is like, who's going to wear it on the Champs-Elysees this year?
Well, if you look at the sports bet market, Jonas Vinegar is $2.12, and today Pogacar $2.15. They can't
really. So they've put Vinegar ahead of.
I guess you have to as a defending champion.
Well,
the next
to. I mean, for example, would you have put Carlos Sastre ahead of Contador?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have.
No. But that was the year Carlos Sastre didn't beat Contador that year. Contador didn't ride in 08.
No, but he did ride in 09, is what I'm saying, at the start of 2009.
I see your point. But, yeah, I guess you can't split them. It's going to be like, there's going to be 2 races at the Tour de France this year on the podium, mate. It's going to be like 2 guys.
The only one that no one cares about is who's getting third, basically.
No, I care about who's going to win too, because that battle is going to be fucking epic. It's going to be a 2-horse race, but it's going to still be an epic race. Like the odds can't split them. Most people probably can't split them. Like I would say it's a 50-50 split when you ask people who follow cycling who's going to win the Tour de France this year, or even if you dumbed it down and you ask like other pro bike riders who's going to win the Tour de France this year. It'd be a 50-50 split, I reckon, between those two.
Mm.
And then the next battle was like 10 guys or 8 guys that are all capable of finishing third. So that's the next race. It's going to be a good Tour de France this year, I reckon, for GC.
Yeah, 100%. Did you guys watch the Netflix series on the Tour de France?
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I liked it.
Yeah, I didn't mind it.
I actually think it was good. Like, I mean, there's some people saying like, oh, it's dramatized for TV. Well, of course it fucking is. It is TV. That's exactly what you said. Exactly what it is. It's TV. Of course they're going to dramatize things. What
exactly?
What are they supposed to do?
Well, people complaining about that.
But I rated the way that they like Wout van Aert. Like they did. I reckon they did they made a really cool storyline around him. Like to the point where it's kind of like he's a little bit the villain, or he's a little not the villain, but he's a little bit of a mercenary. He's a little bit rogue. He's still like he's there to win the Tour de France, but he's also got his own ambitions and he's happy to like speak up about them. And and then like it ends at the end of when he wins the time trial, when Jonas gives him the time trial victory, like in my opinion, like the most ultimate genuine sign of humility from an athlete, like Wout van Aert showed that then, because he wasn't the kind of guy who was like, most people would have just been like, fuck yeah, I won the stage. Woohoo, yeah. But he was actually just like, he was in tears because he knew what his teammate gave it to him, and he was so appreciative of it. And
wait, what? I haven't seen this. What do you mean Jonas gave him the TT victory?
So in the last time trial, Jonas said to Grisha Nierman, who's the head sports director of Jumbo, you know him, George, but just for everyone else who's listening, he said before the start of the time trial, if it's between me and Wout for the stage victory, I need you to tell me, So with like 2K to go or 1K to go, Grisha said on the radio, hey, Jonas, you asked me to tell you, but it's either you or Wout who's going to win, And so he sat up and rode the last K slow to let Wout van Aert win. Otherwise, he would have won. Yeah.
Good guy, eh?
Good guy. But like, I reckon they painted a real good picture they created a story around Wout van Aert, and ultimately at the end of the series, anybody who finished that series thinking, oh, he was a dick, is completely wrong. Like, I finished that series thinking, what if he's a fucking legend? He's actually just like, he's a guy who just wants to win bike races. He's put on this earth to win bike races. That's all he wants to do. But at the same time, he'll be the ultimate like teammate. Like everyone in the world would want that guy on your team because of what he's capable of doing on the bike. And then he showed like this massive sign of humility at the end of it when Jonas gave him the victory in the time trial. So like I ended that series like legend. What a legend,
What about the team meetings when Wout was clearly wanting to have a crack for himself and he throws it out there and you can see the directors sort of looking at each other thinking, ew, fuck, like, what do we do here? Like, he's that good. He's got every right to say, fuck, I want to ride for myself. They go, but
it's
we
crazy to think though that like on any other team, with the exception of maybe UAE, the whole team would be built around him. So it is a great. Well, I haven't seen the series, but I did talk to Walt for at length at Swiss just one day. It was easy, and was yarning about it. And he told me that like sometimes some of the scenes they just cut and paste from like previous days even. So it'd be like he'd say something and then I'd cut to a scene of them at dinner all just like real serious and like trying to create this like tension or something. That like stage one.
Right.
Yeah. For sure they did that. Like and I think he even said it somewhere in the media like that it was, it was a little bit like manipulated a little bit. But that's what TV is. And ultimately I still think that he the image of Wout van Aert is still a highly positive one at the end of that show. I would say, and but I think it was good. Like I think people say like, it wasn't like if you know so much about cycling like we do, like pros and stuff like that, people who have been in the scene for a long time, you're like, oh, you can kind of see it's not really for us, but that's right. Also, it's not really for us. It's like. It's about growing and promoting the sport and getting people interested and hooked on the sport that don't understand it to the same point. And it's the same as like Drive to Survive. Like that pretty much got the whole of America on board with Formula One. But like I bet you if you're a Formula One driver watching it, you're like, this is fucking bullshit. But it's not for them.
That's right.
Like the people who want to watch, the diehard cycling fans are watching the Tour de France regardless. It's about trying to get the people who are on their fence interested in the sport.
Well, and the most common thing that nuffies don't understand is they're going, but hang on, why can't sprinters win the overall? Like, well, why can't that guy who won 4 stages? Why don't he win the overall? Like basic shit. So they did a good job at dimming it down and explaining it for people that know nothing about the bikes. And once they get the mechanics of cycling, they're all the same. They get into it. They'll watch it this year. So that's good for your ratings for NBC, Bewls.
That's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to, I don't know if we talked about this, but you're going to have to, you're an analyst, right? So what level are you going to operate? Is it like, okay, this guy's a good climber and he's, like what level, like how, I mean, the problem is like cycling is a real flawed sport in a lot of ways in terms of like, for me, it's a sport that's awesome to do. But it's not like, okay, let's take cricket, for example. You take an analyst. You might get like Steve Waugh coming in and they're talking about, like in the Ashes, this was a great example. They were talking about, you got these statistics like how this guy responds to a right-hander or, and it's a ball-by-ball movement. You've got all these great like graphics that you can bring in and you can talk to and you can illustrate like, okay, this is what happens when the ball moves away and this is repeated history over time. In cycling, there's far less of this. It's way more of like a vibe thing. It's more like you can't play with metrics. You can't play with straight kind of, baseball. Okay, this is how he responds to the curveball or whatever. But in cycling, you kind of have to play the human. You have to kind of play the, okay, this is his intention as opposed to this is his repeated action, or this is the emotion of the guy. He's sacrificing himself for this guy, or his ambition for here, or he's saving it for tomorrow. So you kind of have to analyze people's emotions as opposed to analyze people's technique or you know what I mean? And also you don't have access to, I mean, the number aspect of cycling or the technique aspect lies in numbers. So it's like these guys are doing 6.2 watts a kilo up this hill. But the problem is that metric's so variable. If it's 30 degrees, 6.2 is suddenly a lot harder than if it's 20. If it's a less steep climb. So actually that metric's not worth a pinch of shit either. I mean, and it's also the most boring fucking thing in the world. Oh, they're riding at 6. What? But
you can use those ammos, those bullets, to shut down the other analyst, Brent Brookwater. So you go, Brent, that's crap, mate. You haven't factored in this, and just argue with him, like Stephen.
I reckon that's what you've got to do. That's the best thing is when you got two analysts going head to head.
Yes.
Fucking be a contrarian.
Butt heads.
Every time you see something, just say, shut up.
Yeah. Mate, you don't know what you're talking about, mate.
You got to side mouth them.
Were you ever side mouth them?
Pogacar's like 4 minutes in front going into Champs-Élysées. He's not going to fucking win it, Brent. You're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
I remember my first bike race, Brent.
But I think ultimately the key is like for us, like is that you are basically, like I said before, like the people who are diehard Tour de France fans will watch the Tour de France regardless, and they might watch it on mute if they don't like you, but they'll watch it. So like
at least you'll be wearing a good suit.
Yeah, ultimately, like you've got to speak to the larger group of people that you're trying to keep captivated or get captivated in the Tour de France. And like to do that, you have to be ultimately I'm supposed to be alongside Brent. We're supposed to be the experts, We're the ones who are supposed to know the sport, understand the sport. And we do. But we also appreciate the fact that sometimes in cycling, even more so now, it can be quite unpredictable. But you have to take a stand, I think, and be like, I don't know, if there's a breakaway up the road and it's got 1 minute with 10K to go, is the breakaway going to get caught? You've got to actually take a stand and be like, yes or no.
Yeah.
And if you say yes, you've got to explain why you think that's going to be successful. If you say no, you have to explain why you think it's not going to be successful. But what you can't do is leave the people who don't understand the sport listening to an expert who's supposed to know. You can't leave them with the like, well, they could, or maybe they won't, because if this team chases, they will. But if this team doesn't chase, then it might be a bit harder. You can't do that because then the person who's not an expert position goes, well, I'm still fucking none the wiser. Just tell me what the fuck you think's going to happen.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll be right, and sometimes you'll be wrong. But you have to like make it go like, yes, they will get caught, and this is why. I think I'll find out. I'll either get fired after 3 days, or I'll do all right.
Yeah, I listen to like. There's two types of commentator for me, and they're both. Well, actually, there's three. The first two that I think are really good types is like, let's say like your wordsmiths. I'm talking about like Rob Hatch, these guys. Not necessarily ever like epic cyclists or whatever, but they have a way with words. They're obviously like really well spoken, well read guys.
And also it gives the show a lot of plugs. So I know why you went straight to the Hatch bag.
Oh, does he? Okay, no, I just think he's quite good.
He's a great.
He's quite. I just thought,
he is. Like, he genuinely is.
Yeah, and then I also notice you've got like Adam, Robbie, these guys talking, and they're making a lot of sense, and they're making a lot of picking up on stuff that other guys are going over. But then there's the third type, just the fucking wafting on about absolute shit with no evidence, and their go-to is to bring people down. Do you know what I mean? To go, oh, he'll be disappointed with that. And it's like a guy who's run like 20th in TT who's, like 40 kilos. He's going, disappointed with that. He's the chosen son. And he just just wafting random shit. So don't be either A or B.
Yeah.
Or they constantly tell you the bleeding obvious. Like, oh, geez, like, he hasn't won stage at the tour for years. And, geez, the pressure's mounting. No, but
also like you can't throw like you can't create the emotion for the rider. Like it's up to them to tell you what they think. Like if you get someone like, I don't know, Enric Mas, for example, like years ago, maybe he's a bit better now, but like a few years ago, if he's trying to win the Grand Tour, he's trying to win the Vuelta. I'm just making this up completely. He goes to the 40K time trial and he loses 2 minutes and he finishes 18th. And then you go, oh, he'll be disappointed with that. Well, he may well not be disappointed with that. He understands his abilities, and he understood that at that point in time that he was going to lose 2 minutes to Pogacar or whoever. He might go, fuck, actually, no, I'm actually really happy with that. I thought I was going to lose more. So you can't be like, oh, he's disappointed. He'd be like, what do you mean I'm disappointed? I'm fucking happy. That kept me in the game. It's good.
But the thing with cycling is it's so fucking long. The sport, like 7-hour days remember the old days where they just cover the last 2 hours. Yeah, sweet. Now they're obsessed with covering it from the gun, which, seeing people get into a breakaway, yep, cool. But just the amount of hours that they've got to talk absolute shit for, like that's tough.
Yeah, that's hard. And that's thankfully what I'm not doing. So I'm not commentating, which like would be really hard, I think.
What are you going to do? What's your actual role? They throw to you.
So there are like special comments basically throughout the stage, and then it's like for those who have watched GCN, it's like the breakaway show, but it's at each end of the stage. So you do like at the start of the stage, before the stage starts, you've got people on the ground crossing to interviews. Like Christian van der Velde will be there interviewing guys on the ground, and then we'll be in the studio, myself, Brent Bookwalter, and the lead guy Paul Burmeister, and we'll be doing
Burmeister.
I
like that name.
Yeah, he's a ledge.
And Stiffmeister.
And so we'll be doing like the pre-race coverage, like what the stage is, what happened yesterday, what does that mean for today?
Do you have a touch screen? Is it like a weatherman?
I think there is touch screens, yeah. So it'd be like, what's the headlines today? What's the stories today? Boom, boom, boom. Then the race will start, and then the commentators will commentate. Yeah. And then every now and again, like, a few times throughout the day, they'll cross to the studio for 5 minutes to talk about an event that's just happened or what's happening in the race currently or whatever. And then at the end of the stage, we'll do also, again, like a wrap-up in the studio. What happened, what's coming tomorrow.
So you're going to dial in with all your contacts on the ground at the tour, save these little nuggets. It's like Bewley's breaking news or something where you can go, well, actually, I just spoke to such and such before the stage and he's told me this, just so that everyone goes, all right, Bewley's the newsbreaker. You've got to have all these little nuggets up your sleeve so that you just take over the whole coverage. And they stop talking about Bob Broll. They stop talking about Phil Liggett. NBC's known as like that's Bewley's time to shine.
But I think it's really important part is to have contacts on the ground and be up to play with what's happening, and be able to use that stuff like to be able to say like, oh, I spoke to Luke Durbridge, and he said that they want to be in the breakaway today. So, they're there with 2 guys, or they've missed it, or whatever.
Yeah.
But that was your intention. So you can have a bit of a chat about that. But I think one of the things I think you're not supposed to do, and I probably should clarify this. Maybe the producers listen to the show and he'll clarify it. Is I don't think we break stories. So I think if we get information about something that's like,
You got to give it to them.
Let's say it's like I get a message from fucking someone at UAE messages me and goes,
You want to say me, but you can't because I'm not there.
Yeah. Okay, let's say if George was there in the past. Like George messaging goes, man, shit's just hit the fan. Pogacar's got
positive.
COVID. He's got COVID and he's real sick. He's not going to start tomorrow.
Yeah.
We can't break that because it's not confirmed. It has to be first. The team needs to confirm it and break the news.
Yeah. And they
I would love to do that.
Spoken.
I would love
Bewls,
to see you down
just
the river. I
winding you
might
up.
message you. I'm going to message you a couple of nuggets, like inside words. The first couple will be true, but then there's going to be a hook in one of them.
Yeah. Do it. Do you know what else would be fun? As if like we could even get the listeners involved in this. This.
Call it like news or ruse.
For sure.
And it'd be a new segment, news or ruse. And we'd give you 4 stories and one of them's a lie.
Yeah. Really good. And another thing, I won't be able to do it, but anyway, it's fun to talk about it. And another thing would be fun would be like if you gave me a catchphrase or a word each day that I had to slip into the coverage.
That's good.
Like some real big word, like exacerbate or something. I don't even know how to say it. Or like
chafe.
Or like a random word like watermelon. Slip watermelon in there today, Or like, that'd be funny.
Yeah, kind of word snake.
Yeah.
Gooch.
I'll be like, it's a hot day today in France. You can see the spectators out there. They'll be wishing they had some watermelons.
Yeah. Oh, you'd be able to do it. You'd be able to know.
I reckon you're going to get fired after 4 days for calling someone a fuckwit on air.
Yeah, that's going to be. I can't swear. I asked if I was allowed to swear. They're like, no. I said, not even like fuck.
Not even like fuck.
I was like, fuck's like it's part of the. We've spoken about this on the show before. It's just an accepted general word in the English language now. It's like how much better does it sound if I say, what an attack by Pogacar? Or what about if I say, what a fucking attack by Pogacar?
Oh yeah,
sounds way better.
That's right.
So
the thing is, if you did get fired for dropping an F-bomb, like at least you'd be part of some viral content.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just don't go down the Robbie McEwen. What was it? What did he get? I can't remember what it was.
Oh yeah,
reprimanded for something.
Yeah, I know what it was.
Yeah, what was it?
It was
it was about buns. No,
it was about some sort of food. Yeah,
food.
Oh, I've got it now. Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah. We won't throw him under the bus again.
No.
But yeah, hopefully I don't do anything like that. I think I've got enough emotional intelligence to.
The problem is there's so many like innocent things that aren't malintentioned by any. You know what I mean?
We don't want to fill Billy's head with like shit that'll cook him. Because remember 2 years ago when the DM network wanted to back this show and it took us 4 cracks because we were overthinking it.
Yeah.
Sam's going on live TV, so we just got to back him in. He won't make any mistakes. He's going to nail it. Because if we go the other way, man, things are looking grim.
I'll be on there like, yes, very good race. Very good race, yes.
Man, I hope you seize.
Yes,
I can't wait to watch you seize and just suffer live. I hope you that'll make me so happy.
Sweating in that new suit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sweating.
Goes into his shell.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And the first thing that comes out of your mouth is something like, something like that could just straight off the bat, you've just offended like 30,000 people. And then you just thinking about it and just in your own head.
Has Rotorua had many people make it on NBC? I wouldn't think so.
I don't know.
God knows. This could be pretty big.
Yeah,
it's going to take some time.
You don't have time. You don't have time.
That's the thing. We don't have time. Like we've done it as much, preparation is key in these sorts of things. And, I think I'm pretty well prepared for it, with the exception of the fact that I leave tomorrow and I was only buying my shirts today. But remove that aside, I think I'm pretty well prepared for what's to come. And we've done a lot of
the chemistry. What's the chemistry like with you and Brookwater?
Well, it's good, yeah. But like we've got to, like you say, we've got to contest each other at times. And
wait till you start throwing around the bus.
Yeah. But like ultimately at some point, like you prepare for it as much as you can, but then at a certain moment, in a few days' time, it's going to be like 3, 2, 1, we're live, and I'm going to be like,
I think you're going to have to.
we're on our own now. We're fucking on our own. Now.
I think you're going to have to spend as much time with Brookwater as you can to really dial up the chemistry. Like you're in the States, I'd go to like, what is it? TGI Fridays.
Yeah.
Just get a big basket of wings, couple of suds, and just shoot the shit for ages and
I reckon
really dial up that
you need to
bromance.
You need to launch with them first night, reverse into day one, and then like reverse into them with some war stories.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I never thought that I'd be capable of doing dry July, but I've essentially got no option this July. And it won't be dry July because it finishes on the 23rd, and then I'll probably drink beers. But so I'll be dry for the first 3 weeks because we go to the studio, like we're on air so early in the morning because of the time zone.
What time?
Like we're in the studio 4:30 in the morning, I think, most days.
Ooh. Yeah. Well, at least the coffees are strong in the States. They're like tar.
Yeah.
Like the caffeine counts through the roof.
I'll have one of those big, like 1 liter coffee cups in front of me.
Yeah.
Like you won't be able to see my face because the coffee cup will be like above my nose.
Then you got to be
Big
careful
straw.
because if you drink a bucket of that tar and go to squeak one out in the break, you'll ruin your suit.
Do you know what I'm going to get into when I'm in the States? I'm going to go into the big gulps.
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
Just head down to 7-Eleven after every day, every broadcast, and get a massive big gulp, like strawberry flavor or something.
Fuck yeah.
One of those like 4 liter sodas, It's come back like 8 kilos heavier.
All right, so you want the punters to send in like a word each day for you to slip into the coverage.
Yeah.
All right.
Do that.
Yeah.
It'll be funny.
Perfect.
I'll try to slip it in.
You been watching any of the cricket, lads? Aussies, the Ashes?
Every single ball, watching an entire test match. It's the best thing about crashing out of Tour de Suisse. Parked up on the couch, watch the Ashes.
I missed the finale on the last day. That would be awesome.
Mate. Solar panel pat, inspiring stuff.
Solar panel pack.
England surely would have thought with 55 runs to go, 2 wickets, they would have thought, oh, mate, it's just a matter of time.
That was a great test.
Sort of mountain troll Nathan Lyon.
How is the body after?
I was actually thinking the other day. Okay, yeah, it's actually fine. It's perfect. I'm good to go. I'm unfortunately didn't get to show that because I crashed out before the obviously stage 1. But body's actually real good. So that's at least a positive. But I don't reckon I've
ever seen you crash that hard.
I've never crashed that hard. That would be why.
Fuck, it was big, eh?
70k an hour.
Oh, when you walked into the hotel lobby that day and I didn't even know you'd crash, I was sitting in the hotel lobby just doing some work on my laptop, and George walked. It was like 2 hours after the stage, or maybe 3 hours after the stage, and George walked into the lobby, and I was like, "Oh, hey, George," and I was like, "Oh, hey, George." He's just like, it looked like he'd been attacked by a fucking bear. It was like clothes were just ripped. He had this like the world's biggest bandage I've ever seen in my whole entire life on his leg. It was like it was so much bandage that it was almost like a splint. It was like,
yeah,
it was. It
is weird. I'm.
You're all right.
It was a scary crash. It was a fucking scary crash because I knew we were going really fast, a little bit downhill, and it was just across the road. And then the 2 guys in front of me were fighting for position, and they touched wheels, and they went down. But they sort of went against each other, and they were able to scrub off speed. But I just hit them, and I was the first guy to hit the ground. And then it was just like full hog pile, 5-6 guys high. Damo told me he was looking down at me. I was on the bottom, and he said there was five layers to get to me. And then, and the size, my leg just doubled in size. The swelling, the skin. It's just one of those shit crashes where you just like, there was like, if it was a Tour de France and it was like, okay, you got 5 days to go, you could get through. I could ride my bike, but I couldn't ride my bike fast.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came home, and with the time of year, with everything, obviously Tour de France is there and things, you don't have time to go, oh, well, let's do the proper, you're on the bike. I was on the bike within 2 days, and I was training properly within 4 days, 5 days. So I just needed like that bit of time to try and get the swelling down and stop the But I sent you this, did I send you the photo, Bewls, of my power balance the days after?
Yeah.
And
That was nuts,
so you've
eh?
got a 50-50. You've got left leg, right leg measures. And I think the day after, my fucked leg was 15% of the work, and the other leg did 85. Like, I think it was probably the best performance my right leg's ever done in my life.
For sure. Yeah.
Imagine if I had two legs that good.
You know what you should do? You and Caitlin should have entered those festival events where you like have like one big potato sack and you put like one leg in the sack each.
Yeah.
Oh, three-legged
you've only-
race.
Yeah, the three-legged race. You should enter the three-legged race with those stats.
Yeah, it would have been good. It would have been a good. That was all I was good for. But it was shit ass, and obviously timing's really shit. And it's you know what it is? It's weird. It's the thing I'm sick of most is like, oh, there's always something. You know, there's always fucking something. Oh, yeah, sick here. And then you're like, right, things are back on track. I've just spent 5 weeks at altitude. I'm humming again. I'm doing career bests up there. You know, like in the weeks before. And then you fucking couple of blokes fight for a corner and go down like a sack of shit, and that's it. And you're like, wow. Takes 2 seconds for it to be like,
Gone.
Yeah.
But anyway, like I said, like after everything that's happened in Swiss,
Perspective, yeah.
I'm loath to complain about having a few scratches. So life goes on.
Yeah.
But more importantly, the cricket. Like I said at the top of the show, I've got the Chapel Botham thing. I've got the trailer. Should I give that a whiz just to get the punters
should you give some context before you play the trailer? What you're doing?
So I was executive producer on this 1 hour special, and it's covering the almost 50-year feud between Ian Botham and Ian Chappell, two legends of the sport, mainly in the 70s and 80s. But there's been a lot of innuendo about, you know, what caused the spat and, you know, the subsequent incidents since. But I don't know how they did it, but they got them to agree to come together.
It started, if I'm not wrong, did it not start on the field and then end up in a bar? Yeah,
in 77. And Botham at this stage was just a young Pom who played 2 one-days for England. And he was out bowling in the nets for Victoria, and he was playing district cricket. And it's just to get experience because they penciled him and another guy, Stevenson, as like, you know, big talents coming through. And he played in a game against Chappelli, who thought, this guy's a bit soft. And then, they saw each other at a bar a week later, and it kicked off, man. Kicked off. And that was it. That was the beginning. All right, let's have a look at the trailer.
3 words describe Ian Chappell: sad and lonely.
Bitter rivals with 50 years of bad blood.
He's a bully, he's a coward, and they're all the good things I can say.
For the first time, Botham and Chappell face to face.
It's a waste of time talking to a liar.
I should have finished you off when I had the chance.
It won't be pretty. The longest feud next Tuesday on 9. On 9.
Was it just like so intense with those two guys together in the same room?
So, mate, I thought that the most awkward thing I was ever going to experience in my work life was when the bus hit the finish line at the Tour de France in 2013 when I was working with Orica Greenedge. When Chappell and Botham come together, that was the worst. That was the most uncomfortable thing I've ever been part of. The bus hitting the finish line is number 2.
So this is not a Netflix stitch-up dramatization. This was these two blokes genuinely fucking hate each other.
Fucking hate each other. Yep. And we had to, when we brought them together, we were thinking of logistics, like, fuck, how are we going to do this? They fucking hate each other. So we had, thank God, the director found like a location in South Melbourne here, and it was 2 levels. So we could isolate Chappelli upstairs and Botham downstairs. And when they came in, I remember saying to Beefy, I said, all right, I'll look after Beefy. So the director, you look after Chappelli. Yep, no worries. And then when he's ready, ring me or text me, and then I'll get both of them to come up. I'll come up a minute earlier, get in position, and then they can come together and let's just shoot it. Like it was all set up. And when both rolled up, I said to him, hey, mate, you know what it might be good is like, you know, if you shake Chappelle's hand or whatever, I don't think he'll shake your hand, but might be good for the cameras and the viewers and that. And his reaction was like, fuck off. I'm not shaking his hand. That shows that I buy into all these lies and bullshit. Shows that like, nah, I'm fucking weak. No, I'm not fucking shaking his hand. I was like, mate, do whatever you want. just go for it.
This is just two fucking alphas. This is like my dad's like does a bit of stuff with dog behavior, and he's always telling me like when you're trying to introduce two dogs that need to get on, for example, if there's a new dog coming into the house, something, he's all about you got to go on neutral ground because you know one's like, so for both them to come out to Australia, I feel like he's already quite threatened. He's already got the hackles up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, But what was good is like, one, it was good working on something other than bloody cycling of this sort of scale. But dealing, like we had a researcher, Shannon Gill, who gave us 40 pages of notes before we even started writing our questions and that. So we just were able to go through bit by bit and go, right, what are the key incidents that have led up over the 50 years? And you can't fucking script it. Like and what I love about these two is, you know how like former athletes, they're still worried about their brand. So they sort of hold back on what they say and generic answer that. These guys don't give a shit. They just fucking call it as they see it. So the interviews were fucking gold because they both don't take a backward step. And they just go, all right, you want an honest answer? Here we go. That's it. Brilliant.
It's going to be good to watch.
Is that out tonight?
Tomorrow, well, we're recording this on Monday, but at 7:30, the 27th on Channel 9. But it's going on Amazon Prime in the UK as well.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So
watch that for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. That's I think this looks like the best thing you've ever done.
Be up there, mate.
Up there.
Maybe
with
they should get
episode.
The next one you should do, the next documentary series you should do about feuds, you should get like Lance and Thibaut Pinot on.
Yeah.
No, was it it was
Vorders. Or Lance and Vorders.
Vorders and Pinot, and then Lance. What did Lance?
Well, Lance
Lance didn't say anything. Sorry, Lance. Wrapping up the show, boys. What we need to talk about it. Just give me one name. We've done it before for all the other races on the planet. Who's going to win the Tour de France?
How can we go past my old mate Poggy, George's teammate?
Poggy?
You can't tip Vingegaard. Poggy's the man.
Yeah.
So you're going Pogman. George is going Pogman.
Oh, hang on. Pogman, when's he joining the show? Are we getting an exclusive?
Yeah. He's on.
Yeah. He's
not
send
in
him
the
the link
weeks.
for this one?
Yeah. Blue tick me.
Yeah. No, he's definitely coming on. He said he'll definitely come on. So
yeah. So when he
If he
wins the tour,
because George definitely asked him. So it's all
okay.
fine.
Okay. When he wins the tour, George, and he can watch this and say that we all backed him.
I don't know that we all.
I'm backing Jonas.
Oh.
Well, that's why he's not coming on the show.
Mm.
No, we'll get him on to butt heads with the butt header from NBC.
Yeah. Get him on for a feud. We'll get him on at the end of the tour, and if he wins it, you can lay the boots into me about how I was wrong. If he doesn't win it and Jonas wins it, we can get him on and we can just say that I was generally back Jonas. We'll wing it. We'll swing it one way or another.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think Jonas.
More importantly, who's getting third? I'm going with Jai Hindley.
Same.
Jai Hindley. He's paying $13
Jai Hindley
for third. Yep.
Is that who you're backing as well? You can't back him. He's mine.
No, I'm backing Jai.
You got two other Australian options, Jonesy. You got Jack Haig, and you got O'Connor.
Jack Haig's riding, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Surely. Is he actually?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's riding.
Mate, he did. How's this? I ran into him the other day. This is what he did. He did the Giro. Not great in the Giro. But he said it was so cold and shit that they never really went that hard until obviously the sun came out at the end. But like it was like just a real good training load because it was so cold that they like, you know what I mean? It was just such shit conditions that they couldn't really race. So you didn't really like burn yourself out. And then he went at the last week of the Giro, they said, oh mate, we might need you in Dauphiné. And he'd already booked a holiday. So he's like, oh, okay, I'll put that off after Dauphiné. Goes to Dauphiné, starts flying in the Dauphiné. I think he was 5th in the Dauphiné. And then they're like,
Chuck him in.
around, get ready for the tour. And he's up in Andorra. So he's just chucking on. He's just doing 3 months straight.
Solid.
Shit. Hey, what are Simon Yates' chances, Bills?
Yeah, I reckon-
$61. That's
What?
juicy.
The thing with Simon, no one knows.
$61.
No one
I know,
knows because he
he's
hasn't
fine.
raced since Romandy. Yeah, he'll be fine. There's no doubt about it. But this is for Simon coming. This is the best preparation that guy could ever hope for. This is this is all he wants in cycling, is to go under the radar, not be in media, not doing fucking videos, interviews, just come in under the radar and just go boom.
Okay, so that means
Ooh,
that
he's
you
a-
get
he's a
quarter
real
odds.
hot.
You
Yeah,
get
actually,
quarter
now
odds
I'm
for the
reconsidering.
podium, $61, and that means that what's a quarter of?
If I was
61?
allowed to gamble on cycling, I would put
30, it's $15. 15-1 for him to run third. Simon Yates. That's good odds to run third.
Yeah, he'll be right
that's
up there.
great odds.
Oh,
That's
All right,
crazy
I'll
how
be
the odd
telling
makers.
everyone
So
in
my manager, part of my management company, used to create the golf, and it was real interesting how they did it. They so he would look at things like flight schedules, how they traveled, how he had to look into all these little things to try and generate the odds of how a guy's going to hit a golf ball. And I wonder in cycling, whoever's making these, I'd love to meet the guy. I'd love to get him on the show. Who's making the odds for cycling? Because if it's one of these mongs that's appearing on my Twitter feed that thinks they know shit about the sport,
no, there is. Yeah,
there's so much. Then because I the stuff that's showing up, if this is a professional opinion, the shit that I'm seeing coming up on involuntarily, opinions that are going out there that people they don't know anything about the sport unless you're a director, unless you're a trainer, unless you're there is obviously fans that do follow it closely, but to make the assumption that Simon Yates is not going well because he didn't do the Dauphiné is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He's going better because he didn't do the Dauphiné. He's been in altitude, hanging out in Sierra Nevada in 40 degrees.
Yeah, and I agree. I know Simon, how he likes to prepare and stuff, and he'll be fucking flying. But it's because he's been so under the radar, and there's no for a bookmaker, it's harder for them. And that's probably what your point is, George. They need to understand the sport more because the form guide's not there because he hasn't raced. But if he knows the sport to a deep level, he can actually go, but Simon likes to be under the radar.
I can guarantee you, after this episode drops, his odds will not be 61. Because let's say we know our listeners and they're degenerates. They're going to load up. They are going to smash him at 61s. So at least they get something out of the app. They get a juicy odds. They'll get quarter odds for third place.
Do you know what I like about this? Is that when we started working with the DM network and they said, okay, here's a list of potential companies that we can use for sponsorship on your show, or not companies, industries, for example, politics, medicine, sports.
We're very strong on one.
One of them was betting, and we said no.
No way.
And then we just spent the last 5 minutes talking about odds.
We said we don't want to be part of that. We can't. And again, it's the theme of this episode: lose your job. We could lose your job. It's not worth it.
Lose your job, lose your money on Simon Yates. There you go. 50. Put it all on red.
We might lose everything, but except this podcast. So we talked at the start of the show about ending the show, but it might actually be our only option going forward. So we'll see you.
Listen, one thing we know that if it all goes tits up and you lose your jobs, we'll just do this full time. We'll just do 3-4 shows a week, sell heaps of merch, and we've got the backing of all the degenerate listeners. We'll be fine. We'll just sell a shitload of caps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get on there and buy some caps, guys.
So we're going, third place is going to be close between Jai Hindley and Simon.
Simon Yates now. Juicy odds. Get on him.
All right. Good show, boys.
Good show, boys.
We'll do. We'll have to put our heads together to combine the 3 time zones throughout the Tour de France to get a show or 2 out.
Yep.
It's going to be difficult. I was running the maths through my head last night about how it could work, and not going to be easy. Not gonna be
Well,
easy.
no, we'll just have to go through your talent manager, Bewls, now that you're a big dog on NBC. We'll just talk to your manager and
Can you just
book
get
it
us
in.
on one of the live segments on NBCC? Bring us in.
Yeah.
When I was
Social
applying for the
distance
visa, it was like I was talking to this immigration, I don't know, or whatever lawyer in America who was helping with it, and they're like, "Okay, who's your talent agency?" I was like, "Don't have one." They're like, "Okay, how many years experience and what other, what else can we put on your on the list of, similar things that you've done?" I was like, "Well, I co-host a podcast."
Oh, you did put that in, did you?
Yeah, I think I did. I was like, I've never done this before, ever in my life. So, what do you want from me?
Yeah, just be honest. Because the thing is, they're gonna, if you watch those American border police shows, they're gonna grill you when you arrive.
Why?
Well, they just love doing it. Like when they look at the visa, they'll be going, "Okay, so it says here you're working for NBC, and you'll be wearing jandals. You have a fucking hole in your pants. You got the growth smelling of little vodka bottles from the flight." Then that's it. They'll grill you.
Yeah.
Two hours in the hole.
My friend Dennis, he every time he goes into America, this is crazy. So he goes into America, he's standing in the line. So he's walked into the airport, he's not even up to the front desk. He said more than once they've come up to him and gone, says his name, "Come with us, please." And every time, and the first time he was shitting himself, second time he goes, "Fuck this again." Third time he started laughing, like he knows what it is. So what happened is once he was in tour of Turkey, and this is how much profiling goes on with American immigration. He was in tour of Turkey and he got called up and said, "We need you in California, but you need to do this ESTA, this 3 months temporary visa to enter." And he was like, "Oh shit." So he applied to it from Turkey. And because of his IP address was in Turkey, applied for his ESTA, but he was European. Then they just go, "Oh, this guy once applied for an ESTA from Turkey. Every time he goes to America, he gets pulled aside. So the cameras recognize his face as he walks into the thing. Red flag. Doesn't even make it to the front desk." And they always let him in, but they always ask him why he was applying for his ESTA from Turkey.
Jeez. There you go.
I'll report back with any stories.
All right. It'll be good for the show.
Yeah. Like, share, subscribe.